All right, Earth people, here we go. Today, we're not going to be standing up at all. And this class is inspired by my new dog, Stevie. She's great. She's great. I love going out for walks with her, love watching her learn things, taking the world. But sometimes we need to get to where we're going. I don't want her wandering around sniffing everything and chasing squirrels, right? So part of it, as she's a puppy, is getting her to understand how to sort of stay with me as we walk. So as we go, she starts to wander, sniff something out over here. I got my leash and I sort of just, I'm not like over here yanking on her. She's got like that one of those harnesses and everything like that. Just giving her a little tug. Come on, Stevie. Uh, Come on over here. And she's like, okay, starts walking with me. And then she hears something else and she's like, and she wants to look, and I'm, come over here. Stay with me. And I got to thinking, this is a lot of like the process when it comes to training our mind. So if you want to think about your wandering mind, that mind that wants to jump from thought to thought, wants to smell things, wants to chase a squirrel, metaphorically speaking, we can look at the leash like our conscious breath. And in this example, me walking her is is my ability to observe the mind, or maybe you might even say like my consciousness. So my mind is the dog, the puppy wandering around, wanting to jump around and look at different things. Me is the consciousness, my ability to watch that mind. And then the leash is my conscious breathing, as my ability to redirect it. And the concept here is that the more we practice, the more we're able to train our mind so it doesn't wander off. You can let the mind wander. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But sometimes we don't have any control over that whatsoever. So at least this gives us the opportunity to pick and choose when we can say, okay, yeah, do your thing. We're fenced in here. You're safe. Or when it's like, no, 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 no. Let's stay here. Stay with me. All right. So you will need a strap, or if you have a dog leash, you can use your dog leash. If you got a old towel, uh, if you use a piece of clothing like an old long sleeve T-shirt, know that it might get stretched out a little bit. But yeah, we're gonna work with how we can use our breath like a leash to help keep our mind on point. All right, and to start things off, we're gonna come onto our backs and get into it. Have your whatever it is you're using for your leash or your strap close by, and come onto your back, and let's sort of just ground for a moment before we start any kind of movement. I want you to just sort of take that concept, that thought that I just shared, and let it sort of sink in, and for a moment just let it go. Place your hands on your belly, or one hand on your heart on your belly, or if you just want to keep them off to the side, that's fine. But I want you to start to deepen your breath. And I want you to count how long the inhale lasts. I want you to count how long the exhale lasts. We're going to do that for about 3 to 5 rounds, because if you have really long, deep, slow breaths, you might only just get 3 rounds in. If your breaths are on the shorter side, it might be more like 5 or 6. So just go ahead, tune me out for a second, tune your breath in, and really work on inhaling the diaphragm downward, exhaling, pulling the diaphragm back up toward the heart. And your mind might have already wandered away. Use that breath, pull that leash ever so gently, bring it back. This is what's happening now. Commit to what you're doing now. Those things that you need to take care of later are going to happen later. Let that be in the future. Be here right now. And I don't get mad at Stevie. There's some days where it's all she wants to do is do her own thing, and it's okay. We just keep working. Stay patient. To do that same thing with yourself. Don't get mad at that mind if it won't let you be here now. It's okay. You just got to do a little bit more heavy lifting today. But the effort's worth it. The effort comes growth. Last breath here. Well, we're going to continue breathing, but last breath before we start moving. Count it slowly. Take note. We'll come back to that later. Now, without looking, grab onto your strap, your leash, your towel, whatever it is you're using. So see if you can remember where you put it. Like, were you present when you put it down? Like, can you find it without even looking? If you can't, that's okay. Open your eyes, go grab it. We'll start some leg stretches with the strap or hand to big toe pose, but we're using the strap instead of grabbing our big toe. Set the strap up on the ball of the foot and try to straighten the leg as much as you can. So if you're on the tight side, you might have a bend in your knee. As long as you get some sensation here and you're starting to feel some opening, that's fine. But as that sensation wears off, we want to work our leg more straight. If it's already straight, we want to start to pull it back some more. Okay, so this is really intense for me right now today. So I'm going to back off a little bit. Again, it helps to sort of wrap that leash or that strap around your hands or your wrists to take the pressure off of your grip. See if you can relax a little bit in your jaw and your face as you continue to deepen the stretch a little bit at a time. Again, my recommendation is, try to go about like 5% deeper with every exhale. And if you ever need to, back out on an inhale. All right, now wherever your left leg is right now, keep it there and straighten your right leg slowly. And just notice how that changes the game. Again, you might have to go slowly, you might have to back out and take a couple breaths to get your right leg all the way straight. Now, on these last two breaths in this pose, I want you to really focus on pulling your toes back towards your face, both sets of toes, and then reaching both heels away from your body. So my right one is, kind of going along the ground. My left one is going up toward the sky. And now I'm going to take the strap and I'm going to put it just in my left hand. So I'm going to grab onto it, I'm going to wrap it around, and I want my hand kind of close to my foot here. And we're going to open this straight leg out to the side, nice and slowly. Keeping the right side of your body down, like we don't want to roll over with it. Keep this right side grounded, stretching out the inside of the left leg, or maybe even the left hip. It might show up somewhere differently in your body. You might even find a shoulder stretch or a neck stretch here somehow, but it's all valid. Just notice your experience as you stay with the breath. We're not going to be here as long, probably about 2 to 3 more breaths, depending on your speed and rhythm. So please reach through the heels, pull back through the toes on both feet. Now, instead of bringing this left leg straight back up, we're actually going to swing the left leg over to meet the right leg. All right, so we're just going to kind of create a quarter circle here. Slowly, let's give us a little bit of rotation, and then take the left leg straight back up. and kind of like hand over hand, grab a little bit further, and then right hand grabs onto the strap. And we're not going to drop all the way over. We're just going to take our leg, I would say about 4 to 6 inches over. That's it. And notice if you feel any sensation and where you might feel it. Again, keep your leg really straight here. We're trying to get maybe the outside of this left hip a little bit, the IT band area, but also very possible could be hitting the hamstring or your groin. Back off as you need to. Breathe. And I want you to count your breath and notice if your breath is shorter or longer than it was when we were just focused on that at the beginning of class. Not as a way to like judge anything, just as a point of comparison. One more breath here. Now, slowly start to bring that left leg straight back up and maybe take it a little bit deeper, like really go for the maximum stretch here. You're only going to be here for a moment. And then as you inhale, try to reach your leg up toward the sky and then down, then forward and then down, forward and down, forward, like you're kind of reaching it as you go down. And now pause for a second. Notice if there's any difference from the left leg and the right leg. Mine feels a couple inches longer right now. And then I'm going to take my right toes and I'm going to steal the strap or whatever it is you're using. And if you can't steal it without getting up, go ahead and get up and switch sides. I'm going to bend my left knee, set my left foot down as I straighten my right leg, and then reel that fish in. That is my right foot. And here we are on side two, wrapping the strap around your wrists, your hands, take an inventory here as we go on to the right side. Doing your best to stay with that breath. And anytime the mind wanders, use it, pull it back into line, pull it back into being right here, right now. Again, something so simple. And again, if your knee is completely straight, then you're going to start to take it back a little bit more. And already, like I am noticing, I am significantly more open on this side than I am on the other side. And again, I'm not. Just take a note of that. You know, I've been dealing with an injury on my left knee a little bit. It's causing the left side of my body to be more tight. So essentially, what I would do is probably give a little bit more time to my left side than my right side. I'm doing my best to sort of balance us out as we practice together. But if I was just doing it by myself, I'd say, or I might go back to my left side and be like, oh, yeah, that side needs just a little bit more love. All right. Now, left leg's going to slowly start to straighten, and you might just kind of go a couple of inches and it feels kind of intense and you stop. And then the next breath, you start to straighten the left leg a little bit more, and then you have to stop. Or so you go kind of take your time here. Know that there's no like one way to do this. It's an exploration. So just, be gentle with yourself, but at the same time, make sure you're giving a little bit of a challenge there. For these last two breaths, we'll pull the toes back toward the face on both feet and reach the heels away on both feet. Transitioning the strap into now the right hand. Again, I'm going to kind of wrap it around. So not only do I have an easier grip, but my right hand is closer to my right foot. And then I'm going to drop that out to the side. So it's like you can see here from this angle, it's kind of at the same level as my hip. I don't have my leg way down here for this. And this is why getting the hand closer to the foot can really help make that a bit easier. Left side of the body stays grounded. Breath stays deep. You can see I'm using my left hand. If you're noticing this, if you're watching, to sort of rotate that left rib cage down, help keep it grounded. If you're not watching, that's okay too. That's actually what I prefer, that you just sort of listen to my voice and my instruction and do your best to interpret that as you breathe and as you feel. Last breath here. Make it a good one. And then again, we're going to create that quarter circle and kind of loosen my grip on the strap so I can take my right foot just above the ground until it meets my left foot, and then start to reel it back in. Now the left hand grabs on to both straps. I don't need to be as close, but still pretty close to that foot, because remember, eventually the idea of this pose is that we take our two peace fingers and we hook our big toe for the entire thing. So we want to start to creep our hand a little bit more towards our foot as we do this, or as we can. And then we're just taking the right leg, keeping it super duper straight. We're just kind of leaning it a little bit over to the left, a couple of inches. And again, still might feel a significant hamstring stretch, but we're also trying to see if we can feel anything into this hip or the outside of the right leg. Reach through the heels, pull back through the toes. So energize, optimize, explore to see what happens. Back off as you need to. And enjoy one more deep breath. Again, try to count it. Don't rush it, especially if this is like you're getting a lot of sensation in your body. The tendency sometimes is to rush through the breath just to get out of there. So see if you can linger in it. And this will help you to develop an ability to like linger in situations that are uncomfortable just generally in your life. And then go ahead, bring that back to center. And same thing, reach the leg out as you go down, out as you go down. So kind of create space, create traction almost as you lower to the floor. And then pause here. This time with the leg straight, hands on the belly, one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly, kind of up to you here. Soften the eyelids. Just feel for a moment. Notice if you notice any sensation pulsing through the legs, any tingling. And if you're not feeling any of that kind of stuff, that's fine too. You're not doing anything wrong. I'm just proposing possibilities that if you are feeling those things, it's normal. If you're not feeling any of those things, that's normal too. All right, a little bit of thread the needle before we get up. So right ankle on top of left thigh, couple breaths here, grabbing onto the front of the knee, the back of the knee. If you're super tight, you can also keep that foot down. But just be careful it doesn't come into just sort of like a kind of a lazy position. Make sure you're getting into your hips a little bit. That'll help you later on in class. And I want you to think about taking that right ankle and pushing it actively into the left thigh. So this right leg is really active. It's trying to push that leg away, but you're like, wait a second, no leg, no, I want you to come this. And in that opposing action, you find your balance and you find a place that is not only interesting in terms of stretch, but also is very stable and supported. Two more breaths here, trying to maintain that dynamic as best you can. And then you'll switch sides when you're done with those couple of breaths, and let's even everything out. So left ankle on top of the right thigh, grabbing on wherever it is you grab on. And same thing with me here is I'm noticing my left side. Now my left hip is much tighter than my right hip. And again, seems very related to my injury, and it lets me know I need to spend a bit more time breathing and working with that as I try to balance out my body and heal. Two more deep breaths. Again, make sure you're getting that opposing energy, karate chopping that left ankle in so that it's like wanting to push that right knee away, but your hands, your arms are resisting that. You're pulling the right knee closer. And doing that, you kind of get charged up a little bit. And if you're really digging this and you want to linger for a second, that's up to you. Otherwise, we're going to start to make our way up into a seated position. Kind of rock and roll yourselves forward. So I'm going to turn on my positioning here so you can see me. Now, we still might be using our strap, our leash. If you have something to sort of sit on, we have to be careful. Essentially, we're going to come into a straight-legged forward fold. So we have to be careful that our tailbone isn't tucked underneath. So how we prevent this is by sort of, you can kind of bend your knees a little bit here as you do this, but sort of walk your butt back, get your tailbone out from underneath you, kind of wiggle it back. Keep it working back. You're tilting your pelvis forward and then bring the shoulders up, and you can kind of feel a little bit more of that plug down, a little bit more stability. You can take your strap, both legs, hook them around the feet. If you don't need the strap, you don't need the strap. That's fine too. You can even see as I come a little bit more into this, I can still kind of walk my tailbone out as I need to. And we're just going to take exhales going down and in like we would in our forward folds if we were standing. Bring your chin all the way into your chest, even if it's uncomfortable in your upper back. Trying to loosen up some of that fascia back there. And then when you inhale, float out of it. Shoulders roll away from the neck and the ears, spine gets long. When the exhale comes, you're going to forward fold. So you're going to kind of just follow your own breath pattern. Exhaling down and in, chin into the chest. And then inhale, backing out, getting length in the spine. And just one more round of that. And as you go forward, as you exhale, see if you can go forward as you go down, go forward as you go down. Very similar to when we're finishing on one side and we had that leg go forward as it came down. All right. Now coming up and out of there. Now we're going to do the same thing, but just with one leg, okay? So for me, I'm going to move my blanket out of the way here, and I'm actually going to sit on, I'm going to fold it up a little bit, so I've got a little bit of a lift here. Let's see, it got messed up, so I have to make sure that it's situated. All right. So one leg comes in, one leg is straight. So this is my left leg. Probably it looks like my right leg for you if you're mirroring me. So just kind of take note of which that is. So the leg that's straight, that same hand, you're going to put it on the outside. It's a little bit of your kickstand. The opposite arm is going to get up, so you're getting that length, and you're going to reach and grab somewhere on the outside of the leg or a foot. Okay, so whatever works for you. And this just helps us to square ourselves to the straight leg. Same thing, the exhale, diving in. And then the inhale, floating up. Lengthen the spine, just like we do in half fold. Shoulders pull back, crown of the head, extends. Exhale, forward as you go down, forward as you go down, forward as you go down, ending with that chin into the chest. Last exhale here. And slowly floating back up. Has your mind wandered somewhere else? Reconnect with your breath, pull it back into here and now. Now, you're going to keep the leg set up just the way it was, but instead of our chest facing the straight leg, we're now just going to face forward. All right, so the legs out to the side, and we're going to do a little bit of a rotated one-legged forward fold, or it's a one-legged rotation. I'm going to, so this leg that's straight, that same elbow, I'm going to bring inside. So go ahead and just like let yourself kind of hang out inside. You're going to take your peace fingers, okay? Now go slowly with it as you do this with me. You're going to bend this knee a little bit, so you're going to need a little space. You're going to take your peace fingers, okay, with the palm facing up, you are going to hook them behind your leg somewhere. Maybe your Achilles tendon, your ankle, okay? So I'm not going like this. Okay, my shoulder is externally rotated, my palm is up, and I'm hooking on. So if you have to rewind and kind of figure that out, go for it. Now, once you have that, once my peace fingers are underneath, I'm going to then try to straighten my knee as much as I can. And I understand if you can't totally straighten it, but what I'm trying to do is sort of trap my fingers and trap my arm in this position. Okay, now take my other hand and I am going to push it onto like where my thigh meets my hip. So I'm going to push that down. You almost want to think about that like you're like that butt cheek or that sit bone really rooting down. All right, that's really where we want it. We want to keep that. It's really easy to lose that. Now, from there, I'm going to take this shoulder and this elbow, and I'm going to roll it back as I look up. Now, keep this sit bone butt cheek down, and then take this arm up. Bend your elbow, put your hand behind your head, like a little bit of a head hammock, and then lean back. So I'm essentially rotating so one shoulder is on top of the other. And I'm using my lower body and a bit of my core strength to keep this opposite sit bone plugged in. It's very easy to let that lift. So I'm using the effort to anchor down. That's my first priority. My second priority is the rotation of my torso. Now, those of you at home who are maybe more flexible and you're like, I want a little bit more sensation, that's fine. You can start to reach this top arm up and over. Okay, we're not just kind of like flopping and dumping. We're reaching it up, we're creating space, and then eventually I'll try to do it. It's going to be a little bit challenging for me, but I'm going to grab the pinky edge of my foot and then start to pull and rotate. Again, trying to stack one shoulder on top of the other. Now, for me, I'm losing this plugging down of my sit bone. It's too much for me. I just kind of wanted to show you what you could do if you can still keep that down. Last breath here, promise. And then you can go ahead and release, bend that knee, unhook your peace fingers, and come up. Pause for a moment. I don't know about you, but that one always gets me. I always feel kind of stuck in that side back area. So switch sides, taking your other leg out, bringing your other leg in. Now, as I mentioned earlier, got a little bit of an injury in my knee here, so I'm actually going to put this block underneath my knee so it doesn't open so much. Okay, I'm kind of limiting the external rotation. If you ever have an injury or something is kind of pulling that doesn't feel quite right, it's different than the stretch. A stretch, your muscles are kind of unraveling a little bit. But if it's like a ligament thing, so it's like your knees don't have muscles in them, those are ligaments. So if you're feeling something on the knee, the front, the sides, back off. All right, and that's something you can email me and we can talk, or figure out a way to ask how you can tailor it for you. Now, straight leg, hand comes out, kickstand it, other hand up and forward. So again, we're first starting with a one-legged seated forward fold. This pose is called, in Sanskrit, it's referred to in many, many circles of yoga as Janu Shirshasana. Simply as head to knee pose. Nothing too magical about that. Very pragmatic. But remember, you're inhaling, you're coming out, you're getting length, and you're exhaling, going down and in. So go ahead, stay with that. I'm still feeling a little bit more in my knee than I want to, so I'm actually going to take this foot a little bit lower down, and that's also going to help me. Yeah, that's it. Now that I don't feel anything in my knee at all, that's what I want. So you're probably finishing your last inhale and exhale here in the seated forward fold. And now we're going to come into the rotated version, okay? So I'm going to try this without the block, see how it goes. Peace fingers, okay? They come inside, okay? Elbow inside of this leg, and I'm hooking on my ankle or Achilles, and then I'm trying to trap that down. Opposite hand roots down, and I'm starting to rotate this top shoulder so it stacks on top of this bottom shoulder. So I'm not squared off, instead I'm stacked. And this might be like a lot. You don't have to go into the head hammock, and that's like everything going forward. If you are feeling it, if it's a challenge, stay with your breath, stay where you're at. There is no destination here. This is observing what's going on and practicing staying as mindful as we can, using that leash of our breath to be fascinated with our experience in the moment. Of course, if you want to take the head hammock, first go for it. And again, you kind of lean back. The hand will sort of catch everything. But keep that left sit bone rooted and keep breathing. And it's really hard to maintain deep diaphragmatic breathing when we start to rotate and twist and stuff. So do your best with this. And of course, you can reach that left arm. There's no chance I can show it to you on this side. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm not like, oh man, no, it's cool. Like, I am working on unraveling and healing and supporting my health. And then go ahead and come on out of this. Nice. Now from here, bring the bottoms of the feet together, knees out to the side for butterfly pose. Again, you might need to adjust your seat. You don't have to sit on anything, but sometimes it helps. Again, I've got just a bit of a blanket, but you could even have something a bit bigger. You could have a cushion from your couch. Wiggle that tailbone out and away. Sit up nice and tall. And this might be enough. You might be feeling it in different parts of your legs, and that's fine. I want you to take your hands onto your feet, kind of peel them open as if you were opening up a book. And if you want to, you can start to forward fold. You can really go into this. In fact, you can exhale as deep as you can first, chin into the chest. And then inhale, back yourself out, get length in your spine. So you can continue that process as well. And just notice where you're feeling this. See if with an exhale you can go about 5% deeper. We'll be here for 2 more breaths. All right. You can linger there for a moment or two longer if you'd like. Otherwise, you can peel yourself up. So now we are going to take both legs wide and out to the side. Again, if the knees are bent a little bit, that's totally all right. If you're feeling it, you could be feeling your hips. There's a lot of different possibilities here. The nice thing is going through these poses and we return to them and we start to see how our body starts to open up over time. Okay, pull the toes back towards your face. All right. And maybe just being here is enough. You're like, whoa. All right. Or, of course, you can start to crawl yourself in a little bit. This is a wide-legged seated forward fold. The options here, of course, you can grab onto the insides of the feet to help leverage yourself a little bit deeper, but don't feel like you have to. About 2 to 3 more breaths here. Try to relax your face. Back out as you need to, as long as you can stay with things right now. This is what's going on. This is what I'm doing. And can I stay calm and focused even through difficult times? If you want to back out and get that long spine like we've been doing in many of the poses here today, by all means, that can feel nice. We'll take one more long exhale. Again, don't rush it. If you're on that exhale, great. If you're on an inhale, that's fine. Wait for the next exhale before you come out, please. And then slowly lifting yourself up. All right. Bend the knees, bring yourself in. Now, last pose is going to be, so we're going to bend our knee so it's at a 90-degree angle. And then we're going to take our other leg behind us at a 90-degree angle as well. Sometimes this is called Pinwheel Pose. I don't know if you know what a pinwheel is. Sort of something that blows in the wind and spins around. So you have that kind of shape. Sometimes it's even called swastika pose. And I know that word is very charged from the early 20th century and the Third Reich, but it should be noted that that imagery was appropriated from Indian culture, and it was basically turned counterclockwise to make it their own. So, interesting fact. Now, from here, again, this might be like, whoa, plenty going on. That's totally fine. Otherwise, you can start to forward fold and see if you can maybe find a bit of a stretch in the hip and the groin. You can even walk it up and kind of walk it over so your heart's going more in the direction of your knee. You can play with bringing your heart towards your heel, your foot. All right, so I'm just going to take about 5 to 7 breaths here as you slowly explore and find a spot that works for you. And one thing I will note is that I try to keep a 90-degree angle in my foot, or in my ankle, I guess I should say. So I pull my toes back, and this helps just to keep this knee nice and supported. The other great thing about this pose is that my hip and our knee are on the same plane, they're on the floor. So twisting our knee is uh, next to impossible given this shape. So it's a really safe way if you're feeling a stretch to find this. And this is there's a pose called Pigeon Pose that we're going to be exploring in a later practice that this is a precursor to. And you can just totally surrender. So instead of coming up and down on this, if you want to just relax into this one, maybe come down onto your elbows, your forearms. And if you ever cramp in a pose like this, or any pose really, of course, just kind of do what you need to do to get out, and we'll switch sides. I'm going to swing my back leg in front. I'm going to bend this knee to a 90-degree angle. Slide that out of the way and take the other leg around and back. So I've got this pinwheel shape. So the lower part of the front leg and the upper part of the back leg have a parallel relationship. And I'm going to go ahead and try to find something here, kind of moving around slowly to explore. But really, I mean, honestly, just sitting up right here and lifting up through the crown of my head gives me a little something to anchor and be with. This is also a time when we start to like really surrender into this. We've been practicing now for about an hour, and typically the mind will have more tendency to wander. So this is, just that, think about that puppy. You're just, no, come on over here. Just, I know you want to go thinking about something else. I know you're hungry right now. I know this, I know that. But just like, come on, just stay here. We're almost home. We're almost home. So last couple of breaths. Last couple of breaths. Make them good ones. And feel free to linger a bit longer if you'd like. We'll finish today's practice in a seated position for a short meditation. Now, if you'd like to meditate for longer, by all means, you're welcome to do that. What I'd ask if you want to do that is just sort of pause the video, and you can set a timer if you set a timer for meditation, or you can just kind of look to see what time it is and say, okay, I'm going to do this now for 10 minutes. But we'll spend about 5 minutes here together as a way to not only ground what we've done, but as a way to now be in stillness and do our best to anchor our mind in not only this physical space, but also the space and time. You can relax your jaw a bit here. Let your lips part as you relax your face. Shoulders melting down the back. Crown of the head gently lifting. And if any distractions, any cravings, any desires show up, know that that's totally human, totally natural. Do your best to let them go. Maybe count your inhale, count your exhale. Maybe becoming so quiet that you can hear your heartbeat, blood pulsing through your arteries and veins. So stay with it. There's about a minute more to go. Recommit, spine tall, lift into the crown of the head, shoulders relax. And again, if you want to linger here for longer, if you're feeling like really dropped in, by all means, I encourage you to keep it going. Just whenever the mind wanders, just notice it and just smile at it like it's a little puppy trying to sniff something new on a tree. And gently use your breath to encourage it back onto your path. As you work on training the mind and your ability to direct it as you see fit. homework is to continue to see your tendencies of what your mind does and notice what it does in different situations. When you're like content and happy, what does it do? When you're irritated and sort of disturbed, what does it do? And then remember, think of that puppy, think of that leash, and think about you gently following your own path. Have a great rest of your day.